My life was an amazing journey, is an amazing journey, and it's anything but linear. I had to reinvent myself several times in this journey. Invariably not by choice, but by circumstances. I finished my high school in 1967 in Kuwait. And at the time, we did not have money for me to go and do university. So I joined, and I was lucky. There are many stations in my life where luck and circumstance has played into my life and determined the next steps in my career. I worked as an air steward in Kuwait Airways. My cousin, God rest his soul in peace, Abdul Wahab Kayali, was doing his PhD at the time. And I said to him, what shall I do? Staying as a steward is not going to get me anywhere. He said to me, there is something new called computers. Go and check it out. I checked it out and I found an institute that teaches computer language for a course for 2 months, 3 months. So I joined that institute and I learned a language at the time called COBOL. I managed to apply for a consulting firm. At the time, there wasn't many consulting firms, but this consulting firm specialized in data processing, which is basically computer, and developing commercial systems for the industry. So I joined them first as a programmer, then program leader, team leader, then analyst, then I became a full consultant with them. When my cousin, the cousin who actually was in London, did the PhD, his name is Abdul Wahab Kayali, and he is an extremely influential guy at the time in the political front. He established also a very important publishing house in strategic studies and things like that. He was assassinated in 1981 in Lebanon. So we went. I was in Jeddah at that time, in Saudi Arabia. So I went to Jordan, where he was buried, and of course the usual people are there and things like that. And I was sitting with a group of young Jordanians who were been to the U.S. studies and things, and I was talking things, and suddenly they started to exchange credentials. Ex-university in the States, ex-London, ex-Kaza, and then it came to me. And they said, well, what did you graduate from? I said, well, I didn't graduate. And that made me feel I really want to do it. And also the reaction made me more determined. So I decided that I'm going to go and do masters. However, I tried all my life not to do half measures. So I said, I'm going to go do masters. I'm going to do it in one of the best universities in the world, and prove to everybody around me that I can do it. So I applied at the time to Harvard, MIT, Columbia, Stanford, Yale, all of these guys. All of these guys, without exception, had a 2-year program. The only one who had a 1-year program was MIT. So I applied for the Sloan Fellows program at MIT. The first reaction from MIT, because of the experience that I had at Johns Hopkins, and of course I had to write a lot about these things so that they can understand the background completely. They said, interesting, but however, you don't have a bachelor's degree. But interesting, come. So I went and interviewed with them, extensive interview with about, I think, 2 professors and the head of the department. Cut a long story short, we made tests and things like that, and I managed to get into MIT. MIT. So at that time, I decided to get my head into electronics, into understanding audio and video signals, how do they behave, what disrupts them, what doesn't disrupt them. That was started in 1997. By 2001, I had 6 international patents in that field, in preventing or deterring people from illegally copying content. So we moved to Damascus, bought a house, living very happily, and there was an activity for UNRWA at the time in Damascus, where Filippo Grande, who is the commissioner of UNRWA, was giving the main speech. So I said, well, I want to volunteer for these guys. I have no connection with them. So I left the hall, waited for Filippo Grande, and he was on his way to the gents' room. I stopped him and I said to him, listen, my background is XYZ, and I'm really keen to help you, to help UNRWA in achieving its objectives in any way that you see fit. During that period, when I was in Damascus, Samer, my son, wanted to get married. And his wife was German. So I had a wedding in Germany. And we decided to have a wedding in Damascus. Now, all my friends and invitees are all from abroad, either from the States or from the UK, or for his wife, Laura, is from Germany. So I decided not to do it in a hotel, in a convention. I wanted a historical place to actually do it and sort of show the culture and what have you. We took a permission to do it in a place in old Damascus called Khan Asad Basha, which is basically a trading post. It used to be a trading post on the Silk Road. So now we got the venue. The problem for us was the catering. So I asked around who is really the best caterer in Damascus. They said to me, there is only one guy in Damascus who is really top notch. His name is Chef Yasser. And he runs the Orient Club restaurant, which is a very old restaurant, very well known. So we got in touch with Chef Yasser. He made a sampling that was out of this world. I said, why don't you call Chef Yasser and see what he's doing? So I called him. What are you doing, Chef Yasser? He said, well, it's a problem, but, we're managing, we're okay. I said to him, okay, move yourself, come over here, and we're going to have a catering company. So I started the catering company 2 years ago. Very happy with it. It's one of the premier caterers in town. We cater to the who's who. And of course, that's again, another industry altogether, another learning curve altogether. MIT was a pivotal point in my life. And the main reason, it's a number of things. First of all, I did it when I was about 34, 35 years of age. That enabled me to take, if you like, a gap here from the day-to-day work, things like that, and enabled me to retrospect and look at the thing. The second thing, they taught me skills. It wasn't in the science that I have learned there as much as actually in the way of thinking about issues and problems. The third thing about MIT and the beauty of MIT, and whether you like it or not, MIT never leaves you. You're engaged all the time with MIT. They keep informing you of the latest technologies, and by doing that they're teasing you, they're teasing your brain, they're making your brain work by all kinds of activities, reunions, and all these things have a huge value.